and certainly they can spell their names and identify themselves. Starting with Dr. McIntyre, superintendent of the school.
So Kevin McIntyre, superintendent, Milford Public Schools. That's KEVIN-MCINTYRE.
Deputy Chief Carlos Souza.
Carlos Souza, S-O-U-S-A.
School Resource Officer at the high school, Anthony Bavosi. It's B-A-V-O-S-I.
Detective Sergeant Paul Pinto, part of Family Services Unit. I oversee the SROs here in town of the Milford Public Schools.
And he's the lead detective on the end who's working the cybercrime side of it.
Thank you. Patrick Crossan, C-R-O-S-S-O-N.
So whenever you guys are ready.
Yeah. Just when each of you are speaking, can you step up?
Yeah.
Chief, tell us how you came about making this arrest and your thoughts on parents being concerned at this point. What do you share?
Yeah, certainly. So late yesterday, the Milford Detective Division, who actually handles the cybercrime side investigations, was notified of a tip of potential child pornography involving our suspect. At that point, they worked collaboratively with the State Police Cybercrime Unit, and they were able to actually interview Mr. Nolan. And during that interview, sitting down and talking with him, they were able to ask him a couple direct questions, and he gave them some direct information, and he had evidence on a personal cell phone of child pornographic material, and was subsequently placed under arrest.
What are the ages? Can you tell with the kids, and what are you looking at on the phone exactly?
Detective Crossan, anything without getting too specific?
Yeah, definitely
Can you
explicit.
step up to the microphone?
Excuse me. Explicit
You wanna
images.
get all the way to the-
Absolutely, I apologize. Thank you.
And say your name again first.
No problem. Thank you, ma'am. So it's Detective Patrick Crossan, C-R-O-S-S-O-N. We are looking at images anywhere between the ages of starting at 6 years old, approximately.
What did he say? Nolan say about this?
Yeah, I was pretty tight-lipped about it. There weren't really any statements made either way about this. Like I said, he was subsequently taken to arrest. At this time, we're doing a deep dive through the cyber forensic side of it. And, at this time, we don't have any evidence that any students were involved in this. We have no direct threat to the community at this time. Certainly we hope and pray that that doesn't change. We have a lot of work to do on this case, and I know there's a lot of concern throughout the community, and there's concern here with us as well. But as of today, we don't have any indication that any of the students that he basically transported to and from school were basically victims of any child pornography or sexual assault. And I know up at the school, Dr. McIntyre, you want to talk about the school's response?
Yeah, I mean, we work always collaboratively with the Milford Police Department. As soon as we learned of this information, we worked with them directly. And right now, the individual is no longer employed with the Milford Public Schools. And I'm happy to answer any other questions you have.
So what message, can you send to the families that are obviously concerned by hearing this?
Yeah, we really just focus on the facts as we know them right now, and like the chief said, right now there's based on the evidence that they have, there's no indication that there was any issues with any of the students in the Milford Public Schools currently. Obviously, the investigation's ongoing right now.
Can you tell us where the vehicles that he takes in and out are located, and what grades or schools are impacted by his route?
Yeah, so all of our van drivers do an elementary and secondary route. The vans are located at the high school. All of our vehicles, our buses and our vans, are located at Milford High School.
Is there a background check system you go through? You may have covered this a little bit. Tell us a little more about that.
Yeah, so every employee we bring on is quarried and soried. It's just standard policy, and every year we do an update on that for the quarry reports.
And Mr. Nolan passed, no problem?
To my knowledge, he had no prior issues. And maybe I don't know if you guys can comment on that.
Yeah, well, we didn't know there was any prior issues with Mr. Nolan leading up to this event.
Do you have special concerns where he was dealing with a population of special needs students?
We always have concerns when something like this arises. I would say for every staff member that we have, we want our children to be safe. We want them to feel supported. We want them to feel welcomed when they're in the schools. And, anytime an issue like this occurs, it's kind of a breach of that. And we do take that very seriously, and that's why we always work directly and defer to the Milford Police Department.
Can you speak to him, allegedly targeting the most vulnerable in your student community?
Maybe clarify that question a little bit.
Your reaction as a parent and a member of the community to finding this out?
You're never, it's always very disappointing when you hear of a staff member who's, been arrested and charged with a crime, particularly when it deals with child pornography. I mean, it's nothing, it's the last thing any of us want to hear.
How would you describe the population he dealt with? I mean, are they mostly verbal? Are they wheelchair people? Or?
The students that are transported through our special education transportation program have a variety of disabilities, and I would say that the individual transported students with a variety of disabilities.
As far as the investigation, where do you go now to try to rule out if he had any contact with students here?
Well, that's just it, right? And that's why it's important for the community to know that, we're here. We have, amazing school resource officers in the Family Services Unit. If a family member suspects something or thinks their child, might be a victim of this crime or any other crime, they need to reach out to us. We have, the Family Services Unit, which is led by Detective Sergeant Pinto. We have some amazing school resource officers like Officer Vosey, and their team will follow up with them. And it's important for the community to know that their team will follow up with them discreetly. And why is that important? The worst thing we can do is minimize a concern or a potential complaint. All right, but this group of individuals, they're well trained, they're well versed, and they'll come to you and they'll make sure that this is kept, just between them, and rule out or rule in somebody as a potential victim. But we don't want anybody going by the wayside. Anything that they think happened or suspicion of something going on, they need to get in touch with us.
Can anyone describe Nolan's demeanor during the arrest? Did he offer any sort of, did he say anything that you can share?
Detective Crossan?
He was cooperative at the time.
In terms of the search of the house, what did you have to do?
He
Can you
gave,
step forward to
absolutely. So he gave full consent of a search of his electronics, 2 cell phones and a computer.
Can you say, Chief, anything about the tip? I know you would talk maybe about technology helping in some way to detect stuff that shouldn't be on a phone?
Yeah, there's a bunch of safeguards out there through various phone agencies, app developers. Obviously, I don't want to speak too much to that because we have a good system in place that kind of leads us to these incidents, and we want to maintain the integrity of that. But that's really what it was. The initial tip, which kind of got these guys on the right track. Detective Crossan and his team, the Massachusetts State Police cybercrime team. This is the world they live in, and they were able to utilize the immediate resources to start the investigation and effect an arrest.
Mr. Superintendent, can you touch on the trust factor and how it's been broken and how important it is to kind of like regain that trust, not just with him or with anybody else?
Well, whenever we have a situation like this, it is a breach of the trust, and it's jarring to the community. And we're happy to work with any parent in the broader school community and the broader Milford community to continue to build that trust. Trust occurs over time. It's something that we'll continue to work to rebuild after an issue or an incident like this.
And if parents don't feel safe to allow their children to be on buses, is there plans for other alternatives because of how severe this is?
I think we work with any parent that had a concern, and I encourage any parent that has a concern to reach out to me directly, and we're absolutely happy to work with them and try to accommodate that.
Kevin, have you had calls? Are people calling in?
Not to this point, but it's pretty new. It's only a couple hours, maybe 3 or 4 hours old, where it's become public. I would say I'm sure we're going to get calls and questions, and it's something we'll work through with the community like we always do.
How many kids in the district, and are you able to say what percentage kind of might have had interaction with this?
We have about 4,600 students, a little under 4,600 students overall. It's a very small percentage of students that he had interaction with. I would say, I don't want to give you the wrong number, so I don't want to say a number, but it's a very small percentage.
And how long was he working with?
I think approximately 6 years.
Any change in school procedures or the way
Well, I think not the way we do our background checks, because I think that's worked very well for us. But I would say, we always, whenever there's a situation like this, look at every aspect of it, and we'll work with the police department as well, and we'll kind of, work this through after the fact and see, are there things we could have done better, which is what we always do.
All right. I think we're good, probably.
I'll wrap it up for you.
Thank you for your time and coming out. We appreciate it.
Now we got other things to do, actually.
We're gonna have time to let's go Spanish. Do you mind coming up to the podium just to say a few words?
It's not
Carlos?
live, I mean, if you mess up, it's not a big deal.
Deputy Chief Souza can speak Spanish as well.
Confident enough to do it?
Just, just a few words.
And Portuguese
maybe
is
to
really
parents.
good. More Portuguese and Spanish.
More Portuguese, do you speak Portuñol?
Portuñol.
Spanish and Espanol and
Portuguese.
Portuguese?
Yeah.
We can do it on the side, we don't have to do it like at the podium.
You did,
Is that
this
okay?
is fine.